Welcome to Safety Spectrum, your environmental health and safety connection. This program is a presentation of the Michigan Safety Conference. For almost a century, the annual conference has provided credible educational opportunities and valuable support to the safety and health practitioner by offering 120 instructional programs, along with exhibits highlighting the latest in safety equipment, instrumentation, and demonstrations. To learn more about the conference, please find us at MICH, safetyconference.org.
Welcome to Safety Spectrum. I'm your host, Sheila Ide. This program is sponsored by the Michigan Safety Conference, and our topic today is climbing the Complacency cliff. Can we actually plan our work assignments the same way we plan and execute our off-job activities? Our speaker today shows us how such thinking can be connected. Our guest, Aaron Munoz, is Corporate Safety Director at Motor City Electric. Aaron has a broad background in skilled trades, working in hospitals, commercial, and the automotive industries, and was also appointed as a union steward with emphasis on safety. He serves on several boards and committees, including the Michigan Safety Conference, and is a speaker on topics which include safety, skilled trades, and culture. Thank you for joining me today, Aaron, on Safety Spectrum.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Well, that's good. I am honored as well. When you're not busy we're going to take this a different direction, but when you're not busy being a corporate safety director for Motor City, what do you like to do?
Of course, there were things I used to do a lot, kids, everybody, all that things, with the kids and all that, everybody goes through life. Hunting, fishing, all of the enjoyable sports, but most recently is rock climbing indoors at the gyms, rock climbing outdoors, and even ice climbing. So that's kind of, I don't want to say consumed my life, but yeah, there's been a lot of rock climbing.
It's a tad dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and just so is work. So yes.
So this is an EHS podcast. How do you think these outdoor activities or other activities fit into the work world?
They're so related. When I first saw what my daughter was doing and her harnesses and things that she used, she was doing rock climbing, and I'm like, what? Why? Who would do that? I don't understand it at all. It's kind of crazy. But and looking at her gear, I'm like, this is not going to keep you safe. How is this? It's very lightweight, and with work, it's all heavy types of gear. So seeing the differences and the similarities is huge, and that relates right to everything. Then when you kind of look at it overall, I mean, whether we're bowling or archery, whatever we're doing, baseball, anything that you enjoy doing, and you think about, well, why don't we look at our work more like the things that we do for our things that we like to do outside? So many similarities.
Well, how does that, how do work hazards fit into a sport hazard? Though I suppose rock climbing does have its hazards.
Well, again, think about baseball or bowling, okay? So some people love bowling. I know guys that bowl, on leagues 3-4 nights a week, but they're doing it all the time. And what do? Before they stretch out, they get ready, they prepare, because they know there's a hazard involved. And personally, bowling, not for a long time. In bowling, I did pull a groin muscle, so and I didn't stretch out. So so things happen, but they know this. Just like rock climbing, or hunting or fishing, you don't just, I'm going to go do this. If you once go fishing for the first time ever and you end up out there with a pole, you poke your finger with a hook. Hopefully you don't go right through. But there's all those considerations. But if you've done it along, if you're going playing baseball, you got to stretch, you got to be ready. I mean, look at those guys on the field. Boy, they are ready. They got the black stuff. They have everything ready. Rock climbing, same thing. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared.
Well, how does PPE fit into, how does personal protective equipment fit into these sports and work?
Oh, absolutely. Just our work and sticking with the climbing. We'll just that one area. Our harnesses that we have for our guys, they're heavy, they're rated, they're nice harnesses. If they get too dirty, if they get ripped up, they have any problems with them, you gotta get toss them. You get a new one, and that relates to just like your attachments, where you're attached. Your beam attachments, your lanyards, or your devices that are self-retracting. Everything is checked. You look it over, but it's heavy, okay? And it's you pick it up and it's like, okay, it's got some weight to it. Yet now the outdoor PPE, that type of gear, helmets, glasses, everything, the harnesses are meant to hang and sit in for a long time. They're very lightweight. They have standards that they have to be in, and I can attest to sitting in my harness for a long time. When I'm getting ready to make another move, it's like, hey, hold on, might tell my belay person, take, and he gets it nice and tight, my son, and then I can let go and I can sit there and kind of figure out what I need to do, rest and all that. Your anchorage points, we not only check our anchorage points when we get up there, but there are American Alpine Club and other climbing institutions that go outdoors and check these things all the time. So it's great to, donate to them so that they are checking those anchor points and things. So yes, oh my gosh, your anchorage, check it at work, check it outdoors.
Well, why would the equipment be lighter and more comfortable? Because industrial fall protection is not made to be dangling for very long. In fact, you have to have a rescue plan when you are using fall protection. So why is the equipment so much different but doing the same job?
My next expedition will be August of 23, and we have to hike in 8 miles. There is no way I would hike in 8 miles with a standard construction harness. Oh yeah, every ounce is a pound when you're going on a very, very long hikes. So you hike way in there, but again, it's light as possible, yet it's as efficient as possible, and it's checked constantly.
So you're not using frayed equipment, that's for sure. So it's got to be checked every time. You suppose part of it is because when you're doing something like this, it's not an everyday occurrence. So maybe you're more prone to do these checklists. Like I hope an airplane pilot checks over the plane before I get aboard, every single time. So.
Yes, and a doctor. Think about your doctor. You go get an operation. Did he count all the stuff he was using, all his tools? Did he get all his tools out of it? He didn't forget one in there. But yes, the checking is so important. Just like at work, that's why we do the planning, the pre-tasks, the job hazard analysis, before we even think about going on it, we're looking at that. Then once we get there, to in the morning meetings, morning pre-task plans, the job hazard analysis, which is the overall look, the pre-task plan to review, hey, this is what we're doing right now. And you're doing that in the huddle with the guys saying, hey, come on, guys, do you guys see this? You understand all this? We're communicating. We're making that connection. So that
would be my question. How do you keep people from being complacent when they do it every day? I use this piece of equipment every single day. How do you get them to check it out, to be sure that they're following the procedures? Like you say, the pre-task analysis. How are you getting them to do that every time?
Oh, it's always a battle, but the battle can be won with the, how can I say, the relationships, the understanding that myself as the leader of the pre-task in the morning, I have that communication skill, that trust with my guys, with my team. They trust me, I trust them. And when I'm telling them this for a reason. Okay. And if, it's like, like, Bobby's over there reading the paper, not listening. Hey, Bobby, man, you got anything? Because, here's everything we're happening. So it's that one-to-one relationship, that one-to-one trust. But you have to form that, and we have to do that. Yes, that's the trust I have with my guys at work when I'm, because of course I'm 62, so as a steam fitter by trade, I've run a lot of work and I've had a lot of guys, but we've always had that relationship. They know I've got their back. They know they have my back. When I say that, we trust each other, and they will do everything the right way so that things don't happen. We don't want anything to happen to anybody. And having that relationship is so important. So you can imagine out on an expedition or just on even a climb. We climb every other day at the gym and indoors. And it is essential that, so if I'm going up a rope, my son is my belay partner. He locks on with the belay device onto his harness. I tie my knot, I tie onto my harness, and then I present that to him. Our words are check, check. So he looks at me and he says, okay, you're in the top loop, bottom loop. And he counts that I've got the correct knot, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 with your safety knot. And I look at him, I says, okay, I see we're both on the same rope. I see that I'm on the top rope. Your hand is on the belay side of it. Check, that's the check. So we've done these things right, but it's so important because there have been times that we do this all the time. And without that, I've missed my bottom loop. And he goes, Dad, look at it. I'm going, oh my gosh, I missed the bottom loop. But if that would have happened, that's your secondary safety. So if I missed it and I did fall up there, what if that one single loop would have broken? Even though it's been checked, it's been new, anything can happen. So you have this redundancy and that constant checking that we have to get everybody to understand. We do it for each other.
How does that relate at Motor City? How do you do safety orientation over there?
Oh, okay. So every new employee that's been, because of course we're using my fellas out of local 58, out of local 17, so they come to us. And if they haven't been with us in the last year, they'll go through an orientation. We have our own safety center, which we house all of the hard goods for safety, fall protection, yo-yos, beam attachments, and then of course electricians. We have all the rubber goods. So your blankets, your rubber boots, because they're for electricians, for linemen, they have to have a boot over top, and the rubber gloves that have to be checked constantly. The regs say you got it like every 6 months or something, but we do it like every 90 days. DTE, we kind of follow theirs as a standard, go above and beyond. So then we come to the orientation. So if the guy hasn't been there, he comes to our safety center. We can take up to 70 people at a time. We try to keep it up around 30 to 50. So in that, they view the orientation video from NECA. It's a national video, and then after that, they're given their packets, and in their packets they have probably 6, 7 tests in there, which are the fall protection, ladders, the simple stuff. And of course, we don't want to insult anybody's intelligence because these guys have been around a long time. So they go through there, they have the pocket card, they take the test. Now then, we cover, because the video covers about 32 operations, emergency things that will go on a site, and all of those things, how to cover them up. But then we review another 25 of those, and we discuss those. That's a discussion with the group. So we have a physical person standing there saying, okay, do you understand our commitment? Do you understand your expectations? Do you understand ladders and all these things? And then after that, they turn it in, they're ready to go to work. They also receive all their PPE, they receive their their training cards. So yeah, our orientation is so important, and it has shown over our 5 years that I've been there. It's shown huge improvement in.
I know when I was at Michigan OSHA, we would get a lot of phone calls from the public. They were hiring contract workers or temporary workers, and they'd say, well, do I have to train them on my forklift? They already have their forklift permit. Yes, because it's your operation, your warehouse, your activities, what you're lifting. Yes, you have to individually train, because I think you hire people for short term as well, don't you?
Yeah, we'll be taking another, I think Thursday and Friday, we're bringing another 80 new, from out of 58, but they might be from all over the country. So there's going to be travelers in town.
What about your veteran employees? How much training do they? I mean, foremen are always, they have so much to do with the production and getting the job done and the timelines and the equipment and the product and all that. What's their role in the safety program? How do you keep the veterans engaged in the safety program?
The fellows that have been around are the most important, because they're mostly going to be our foremen, our lead guys, and that back to the communication, having them, they've got all of our safety staff's phone numbers. They can call us at any time. They know and they trust us. We trust them. Having that trust with the veterans, but it's not just the veteran. It's now you can have a veteran that's been around, 30 years, and he just hires in. So if he hires in, he's got to go through all the orientation and everything, but he's got to get that feeling that, hey, this is what we say we do, and we're giving it to you in the orientation. Now go to the site and see what we do. And that's what's really cool, because when they get to the site, those seasoned foremen are following everything that we tell them, that this is what you're going to see on the job site. You're going to go through all these things. So they see it and they're going, wow, these guys they're not a joke. They're truly following, saying what they're doing, and they're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So yeah, that's so important.
I know you do a lot of work in Michigan, but you're also going out of state. So that's got to be, people have got different backgrounds, different education. So that's got to be a challenge as well.
Yes. We've just acquired a large project in Kentucky. I think we're looking at, oh my gosh, I don't even want to say the number. One of the largest contracts I've ever heard of. And that's going to be interesting. Get back to the right people in the right seats. We'll have staffing available. We are not going to deviate from how we train. Again, the orientation, so many, just like you said, so many people are, well, do I have to train them? No. It says 1926, the employer is responsible for training the employee in recognizable hazards. So I will not take, oh, well, he went to this local over here, that local, or he has this piece of paper. I mean, if it's Red Cross, that's portable training. That's totally understood. But if it's, contractor X's fall protection training, I'm not taking that unless it's nationally recognized. So yeah, we make sure we go over it again. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. And our guys, our linemen do a lot of work out of state, but our linemen are so highly trained and followed. Okay, so they have their supervision would be their direct safety person. And it's very great that they do what they do, and they follow, they walk the walk.
So you're the folks that go when there's a disaster somewhere in the country to help out restringing the lines?
Yeah, mostly East Coast, and we'll go south, but not too far, 2 or 3 states south. But Florida's really difficult going down there. We have been down there. But again, well, East Coast, West, we only go as far as like the Mississippi and kind of a little bit beyond there.
How do you verify that the training is effective?
Again, those are the questions in the orientation, to having that question with the person themselves. Say, so Bobby, did you understand what we were talking about on global harmonization? Oh yeah, then he answers those questions. When he answers the questions, and you can verify that he understands, and he's retained the knowledge. I'll take it here, the elaborative rehearsal. So I took a psychology course, and how do we hold things in our memory? And gosh, and we knew, well, somebody got to be told 3 times before they understand it, before they take it in their memory. And you got to have all these tests, if you test them, then you can tell it's in their memory. But there's another way of learning called elaborative rehearsal. It is defined as an encoding strategy to facilitate, let me try, I'll start again. An encoding strategy to facilitate the information of memory by linking new information to what one already knows. So if I'm giving you something, this is why it's so important to connect what we're doing at work to what we enjoy doing, because we already know those things we enjoy: bowling, fishing, climbing, swimming, whatever it may be. We know those habits, we know what comes up. Then can we relate what's going on the job? And can we, in our minds, think, hey, that's kind of like fishing, or that's kind of like hunting, or that's kind of like running, or whatever I do. And if we think that, then we can remember it, because it goes into our memory and it stores it. And it's, I know as an older person going back to college and taking courses, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm really interested in this stuff. And like the psychology course, it's like, oh, I was wondering, why do our guys do what they do? We had a little thing with my OSHA, and Sheila was part of that one. Why do they do those crazy things? And then taking the course, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I understand. So it's so important to understand the individual.
It's funny, I used that example myself when people were complaining about certain personal protective equipment. It's uncomfortable and why and all that. And I would compare it to a football player. They don't go out on the field without wearing their pads, their helmet, what have you. And maybe when you're younger, you think you can get away with it. But you have to also understand that it is difficult to don these things and then go out and do your job. And I also work with line workers when I work for a local utility. So I know the procedures that they have to go through, because they make a mistake and it's usually fatal. So I think you kind of answered the one about diverse workplace, because you're dealing with a whole lot of different types of unions, type of skilled trades, different states, different levels of education. So it's interesting that you have this orientation safety center that kind of takes that all into account. And you
sizes,
can take it up.
I mean, everybody's got a different size head and body and eyes and ears. I mean, even think about your earplugs. You can't to try to think you can have one earplug for everybody's ear. No, we've got, I think, 5 different types that, which one fits best, which one feels best. And it's so important. Multiple different types of gloves, different sizes. So now when the guy sees this, and he's like, wow, they really did everything they could. So why can't I do everything that I can just to keep myself safe?
And working with them and understanding that, I think even when you hand out plain old glasses, just having someone come in to fit them and let them try different styles makes a whole lot of difference in acceptance of wearing this type of equipment. I mean, I go back a long way, so I can remember when a lot of these things were just introduced. And a lot of times for women, it was difficult to find equipment that would fit, where it had to wear a scarf on your head to get the hard hat on. Then they came up with the twist on hard hat, so everybody can fit the hard hat. That's the way I call it.
Yeah.
That's the differences in people. So why do you think this topic is important now?
Our environment changes. Construction environment's constantly changing, but globally, what's going on, individually, what people have going on, what we've just gone through with the whole pandemic. It's so many different hazards are being thrown at us. And to have our people trust us, that's the biggest thing to get by. And how do you gain trust? That is one of the questions that, again, back to the course. And trust is gained by going above and beyond for someone. So again, by having all the gear properly and having everything we can do and going above and beyond, that gains that trust. So the guy says, hey, I trust these people. I can, because if there's ever that time where you're saying, gosh, I think this is going to work. I tell the guys, no, there's no, I think this is going to work. It's either, it's going to work, because if you think, then that means we need to revisit this and let's go back over this again.
I think you did say something like that to me before about if you have a fear of something or you don't think it's going to work, you're probably not going to succeed.
And the way I look, it's a healthy fear. I always look at that. I mean, I'm a fat old guy, Mexican, going up a cliff. I am terrified. So it's a very good, healthy fear.
Well, Aaron, do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
Oh gosh, a few things. Like I said before, about the planning. We number one, we plan, analyze, communicate, and execute. So to have those things in our minds all the time, especially as a leader. But if you're, again, you're just the average guy going in there, he's still going through that. Whether he's going to go out fishing or he's going to go out running or biking or bowling, you better not forget his bowling ball. So all of these things. Oh gosh, I forgot my shoes. I got to use those lane shoes. Oh, bummer. So go through, plan, analyze, communicate, execute. Also, trust. If you're a leader, you have to gain trust. Because as an individual, we do things for two reasons: to gain or avoid. So when you say, well, why did that guy do that? Well, was he gaining something by it? Or was he avoiding something? He did it that way to avoid having to go get a taller ladder, and gosh, I'm just going to do this for a minute. Well, I'm going to gain some time. I'll get out of here before break, or I'll get out, So again, having those things in our minds that we always understand, and we can always, it's us. What can we do? So many times I listen to conversations or discussions at high level. Well, they did this, they did that. I'm like, but what did we do? Did we go out there and talk with them? Did we go out there and get to know them? Because if we take that step, then we make the change. And we're the ones that have to start. We create the environment we want. So if we can't, we're the leaders, and if we can't get out there and spend the time with them and get the trust, then how can we ask for a change in environment?
I think sometimes we forget that people bring everything with them to the work site, what they're going through, what's happening at home, where they are in life. And we forget that they're not just robots. And like you say, you can't just order it done and expect cooperation. You need to gain that.
You hit it.
So, well, I'll tell you, planning, analyzing, communicating, executing applies in all aspects of life. Taking the time to understand the hazards and what ifs and preparing oneself is a philosophy that I think all of us can live with. So thank you so much, Aaron, for your time. Aaron of Motor City Electric. He can be reached at arm636@gmail.com. If you'd like more information about the conference, please check our website at michsafetyconference.org. And thank you for listening to Safety Spectrum. This is Sheila Ide and Aaron signing off.